Hello, welcome to the second episode of Comix Rant. My name is Arvin Bautista. I am an animator, but I am also a big comic book fan. So as I'm in between jobs, I'm trying to get my fourth issue of my own IP called The Bomb Squad done. It has taken me quite a while to get up to here, and I just want to finish off this arc and be able to maybe set up a Kickstarter or Indiegogo for this compilation of a book, maybe collecting issues 1 to 4 for the first arc. So right now I have thumbnails. It's probably not going to be the prettiest looking episode, as it's all going to be scratchy and scribbly. But it has been a while since I've drawn this book and these characters, so it usually takes a little of warming up for me to do to get back into the groove of things. Drawing's kind of like exercise, and if I don't do it for a while, then it's just going to be really hard to get back into it. Anyway, so my last issue was number 3, this one. And I printed this through Ka-Blam. And it's on sale at the digital store called Indyplanet. There's a link to it in the notes under this video. And anyway, for this third issue, last time I printed this was 2016, so it's been 4 years, and I have to kind of like get back up to speed with this. Anyway, so fortunately, the first page of this issue, my layouts are going to be a lot similar to the first issue, and I'm actually doing that on purpose. One, it'll also be easier for me to lay it out, and 2, it will mean something in the story. So this is the first page of the first issue, and what I've been doing with all these issues is that I will have the first panel to be something like an abstract shape, and then as you zoom out, you kind of start figuring out what this shape is. So in this case, it's a button. So it's a circle and then a controller with a hand and a button on it. And then the hand is with this terrorist looking dude. He's got like bombs strapped onto him because he's the bad guy. And he's got like these other people around him that are kind of scared. And you find out this is like the window of an airplane. So yeah, pretty serious. So for this one, the fourth issue starts off with, here, let me see if I can, fortunately I already did my pen just kind of fell asleep. So this first page, well, I already laid it out. So this is the first panel right here. And it's going to be a close-up of a $sign. And then as we zoom out, so the second panel here, this guy, you see it's like in a marking on a bag, because, you know, bank money is always in a bag with dollar symbols on it. And the third panel is going to be just like with the frame of the terrorist guy, right? This one. And over here, it's going to be the same thing, except, of course, this person is somebody else. And I think that's the kind of parallel I want to draw here, that this guy's a bad guy in the same way, but then there's going to be a reveal later on what's going on. Okay, so I guess I could go through my line of thinking here. When I construct this page, I'd like to kind of lead the eye throughout the whole thing from panel to panel, visually, right? You could use it with words and so on, since we read left to right. But just on the visual level, I kind of like to get it all doing the same thing, even without words. So this dollar symbol is diagonally this way. So you kind of start reading a page from up here, right? Left to right, up to down. So these lines will kind of help. What's going on with my pen? It's like freaking out here. Okay. Sorry, technical difficulties for some reason. So the idea is that you're going to read from here to here, and then there's a curve here from the dollar sign that kind of leads you back up here. And just by nature of the dollar symbol, you're going to go to the next panel, so which is right here. And then I put this black shape here that's kind of a diagonal that kind of pushes you back down this way. And then from here, you kind of start from up here, kind of swoop this way through the guy's face, and then back up to the money bag on the fourth panel. And then that's why I put this little black shape here to kind of like block you in and kind of lead you back down, push you down here. So it's all a bunch of scribbles right now, but this panel, the fifth panel, is like an action-packed panel of a guy running. You probably can't see him too well here. Guy running, and he's shooting backwards with these shapes back here. And you find out on this last panel of this page that they're a couple of cops with they're the traditional or maybe iconic cop hat, and he's radioing in some backup. So that is the plan. Now, once I usually get these thumbnails going, I've actually laid out maybe like half a book with just thumbnails. And the way you should really work is to lay out the whole thing, right? So you kind of know how it works and how the story flows and how everything goes. Except I don't actually do that. So I like kind of just flying off the seat of my pants here and making up the story as I go along. And that's just how it has been since I was a kid. I kind of like doing that. And I have like a rough idea of where it starts, what's the middle, and then what's the end. I just have to hit all those points and the story should be fine, hopefully. So for here, this is the first page. And what I'll probably do in these next few episodes is to bring this first page to finish, just so that you guys can see it sequentially how I'm working. So anyway, this first one is the thumbnail, and what I'll do is kind of, in some of my pages, I'll kind of relay them out. Like, so, some of my other sketchbooks, I'll kind of like do another one, just to kind of get myself thinking. But I think I'm okay with this right now, so I probably don't have to do it again. So then I'll take a panel. So for this one, I just took this panel and I started kind of doodling what this figure would look like. Right? And then that's just how my brain works. I kind of try to figure things out and try to keep the gesture loose, because like I said, it has been a long time since I've drawn these characters, so this kind of gets me back in the groove of things. So let's see if we can really push this guy. He's running forward, but he's also shooting backwards, so sometimes I like it with Procreate, just any digital medium, to be honest. Like, it helps me think a little bit better, so then I can also kind of push this perspective like crazy. So digitally, wow, ran out of juice again. Okay, well, hold on. So I kind of like distorting it in the thumbnail phase, pushing perspective, whatever tools you can get to make it go faster, use them. It's already hard enough to do comics, so whatever ace up your sleeve you can pull or trick that you can manage, do it. Highly recommended. Oh, that's what it is, yes. So sometimes I'll do that. So, and then I'll sometimes even just bust down some of these larger sketches. Oops. And I don't know. At the sketch phase, it's not so intimidating, at least to my brain, to just jump in there and make a ton of mistakes. I'm going to erase something right now. Okay. So this is the guy running. So let's see if I can... What I do too is... Let's just see how the layouts of this turns out. So this is an 11 by 17 sized canvas. 300 DPI? Or maybe like 400? I think it's at 300. But for the most part, it's nice working this big. I guess I'm just used to how people do it traditionally. So that's how I do it too. And get a bunch of detail on it. Okay, so that's something like that. This is the first time I've actually started drawing this book on Procreate. Most times I'm doing it in Photoshop. Okay, there we go. Messy, but get the idea. So I'm just gonna see if I can start tightening up something. So Procreate has this kind of cool like line tool, or you can kind of straighten your line. Sorry. You know what weirds me out though is I always measure it in Photoshop, like just how even these panels are. Or my gutter. See, that's not even here. Alright, maybe I need to pull back here. I'm starting to get too tight. I just need to know what this space would look like. Let's bust this down a little bit. Right, okay. Oops. Alright. So use as many layers as you can. No shame in that. Okay. Let's take one of these. Let's see if I can even fit this figure into this panel. Right there. Alright. Kind of fits. Oops. Kind of getting messy here. Looking at the panel. All right. Okay, so he's really booking it to the next panel. But I'm going to run out of space for these cups, so I'm going to have to move them a little bit. There we go. Kind of like this gesture I did here, but it's just so big, I can't fit anything else in the panel. So we're going to go crazy here, kind of push them even further. But most of the battle in comics is layout, or I would say. So if you can get that going, you're in good shape. For most of these books, I've just been kind of, because I'm a little impatient, or I'm just so jazzed up in trying to get to the work, that I'll just kind of jump in there, start drawing comics. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just the way I work. Sometimes it's also the only way I can get anything out. You know, otherwise I'd just be sitting there trying to nitpick everything. And I don't know if this is how Jack Kirby worked, but it's certainly something I picked up as I get older. I feel from him that just go in there and draw it, man. There's like 22 other pages and at least a panel each page that you're going to have to draw. And if you're going to sit there trying to nitpick one panel, you're never going to get through all 22 pages. And just get better with every issue that you draw, with every page that you draw. Just get better. So I don't know if that's good advice or bad advice, but just jump in there and just start drawing. Sorry, so this probably doesn't look like much at all if you're watching. But it is definitely like how my brain works. These blobs. kind of get an idea. Okay, that is... It's going to be a hard one to get working. This pose. But if I can pull it off... Hopefully it'll look dynamic. Because this is the first page, so I need to grab people's attention. And I think that's why I started doing this like kind of abstract stuff in the beginning, right? Like, it's nice to, or I feel it's kind of cool to throw somebody in the deep end and they look at that first panel and they have no idea what it is. So you move on to the next panel to see if you can figure out what it is. And so on and so on. And then I start revealing certain things with each panel until you can kind of put a picture in your head like, oh, what's going on? So let me give this guy like a... Okay. Maybe we'll do an even closer up shot of this thing. So you really can't tell what it is. You do need that white here. To kind of lead you back into this panel, the second panel. All right. As we speak, I'm actually trying to upload the first episode. That I went through a lot of weird stuff with that one. I was editing it with Premiere, and it was like this super old copy of Premiere that the highest output that it could do was 1080i. And I don't know if that's like too technical for you guys, but it's just not a good... And it wasn't like square pixels, so it just looked weird. And essentially it's just 720. And maybe I should just busted it out. Just like I was saying, like with comics, you just go in there, bust it out. It should have been the same with YouTube videos. Go out there and bust it out as my first episode. But I ended up looking for a free editing software that I could use. And it ended up better than Premiere in certain ways, I guess. And it was free. And it could output at 1080. Which, even by today's standards, is not really that high anymore. So everybody's recording stuff on 4K and stuff. Alright, that looks better. Oops, something like that. So even now I'm just kind of filling in this stuff. That's pretty abstract. Maybe too abstract. Let's see if I can bring it back. Yeah, maybe too abstract. So maybe I'll try to keep these episodes a little shorter. Also so that upload time isn't as long. My internet connection might not be the best. And I have to admit, it is a little strange for me to talk while I'm working and to point a camera at myself and to do this. I have to get a little comfortable with it. But at the same time, making like these little videos helps me to keep on track, to keep on schedule. Because now I'm thinking, okay, I need to put out an episode. So I need to work on something on the book, which is good. I just need to push myself, and that's how most of these projects are for me. I think they're like mental challenges just to get going. And once I get going, I can just ride the momentum already and just keep going. Like I think I learned that with Inktober, my Inktober work. So that's like a drawing a day, and it's hard work. I was doing that when I was still working full-time job. So I would come home, have dinner, and go through the nightly routine with my kids, put them down to bed, and then usually I would be able to work on a drawing at around 9:30, right? 9. And the drawing I'll be up until, on good days, I'll be up until 12. That's like fast for me. Until 12. If not, some days I'll be like up until like 2 or 3 in the morning. Because this is including like trying to post it up on every social media account that I have and blasting it out there. And you get into a groove. I got into a groove. And it was fun, tiring, fun. But then you look back at the body of work and you feel good about it. For me, like this, especially these last 2 years of Inktober's, has felt really good. Because I would have comic book pages. And I think for me personally, like it's just what I like to do, what I want to do. So if it's like very fulfilling. I'll come away with, how many pages do I have of that thing now? 6 pages every year. Because I'm just doing a panel a day. It just feels good. Kind of helps me feel like I'm accomplishing something, getting closer to the goal. Now, the only problem is I wasn't actually working on Bomb Squad. I was working on like this other project with Gunman on it. So now I have like these 2 comic book projects that I want to finish, put to finish. So I'm hoping with this, I can finish off Bomb Squad. And then the next one would be me moving on to that Gunman project. Gunman, not even gunman, it's Gunman. Man with gun hands. Okay, so in this one, this second panel, I'm trying to make it so it looks like the bag is swinging, right? So here it's going this way. This one's going this way. It's slightly, maybe I should make it go straight. That's very clear what you're looking at here. And then this next one, the bag is kind of tilted this way, right? Ooh, it's kind of cool with the 1 stroke. But no, we'll do the 2. So my comic is set in Boomtown, and I was actually debating whether it should be set in the US or just some other weird country or whatever. But I figured, the book is written in English. I live in the US. The term boomtown, all this kind of slang. And the way I speak English is usually American English. So, might as well embrace it. And it makes this iconography easier. So, I was actually debating whether it should be like this, like alien currency symbol. Like if I should make it up so it didn't occur in the US. But this way just makes it easier. It's a quick read, to the readership that I'm trying to cater to. Why make it harder, right? And part of this too, like when I was reading my book to my children, I noticed I used a lot of jargon. I'm not sure if I mentioned that in this show, but I use a lot of jargon, like technical terms that I've kind of made up and kind of heard, like, we need to get their stat or whatever. Just all these things to make it sound like, ooh, they're like real police officers saying important things. And I don't think my children understood most of what they were saying. And my kids are 4 and 7. And when I wrote this, and when I started it, I don't really have that demographic in mind. I mean, it looks like it should be for kids, but I don't think it's written that way. So that's something else I have to go back into. I have to go back to the script, kind of clean it up so it's not so complicated. Like it doesn't have to be complicated. I mean, my art style is kind of dictating that too. Like, it doesn't have to be. And I mean, the first issue is mostly, maybe I can show you some pages here, is mostly wordless in the first few pages. Oh, it looks like I don't have a lot, but, like, because that's kind of what I wanted to do. I kind of wanted it to be like an easy read and kind of like get the readers into it, especially in the beginning. Right, and second issue starts off that way too. Let me see if I can find just dynamic, like try to make it dynamic and fun to look at and something that you can read easily. Well, I don't know, I'm doing some layouts that are kind of crazy in here. It's like not quite as simple. But, I've kind of gotten inspired with this art style by Osamu Tezuka and the guy who made Cyborg 009. Blanking on his name is Shotaro. Oh, I'm going to flub his name too. I don't want to do it. But I just love that it's like the simpler style and it's something that I could manage or, to draw day in, day out. Because before this book, before Bomb Squad, I had this like magnum opus that I wanted to do, right? Like everybody does. It was going to be like 12 issue maxi series and all this kind of stuff, which is insane. Now that I think about it in hindsight, it's just not me. Obviously it's not me. Now that I've gotten older, I've figured that out. But at the time, I wanted to make this like super awesome comic book that people were going to think was like this breakthrough thing. And I think I put so much pressure on myself that I couldn't do it. I don't know if I'm explaining myself here, but it was just so massive and grand in my head that I locked up because I wanted it to be perfect. And I think I said that in the first episode, where now I know I'm not perfect. I'm not like the most incredible artist in the world, but that's why I draw, right? To get better. And so that I finally broke and figured that out. And I couldn't do it with that project because I just had so many expectations on what it should be. Unrealistic expectations too. Ooh, this is turning out a little weird. Unrealistic expectations that were not going to be, I would not be able to hit because I wasn't there yet. I just wasn't there yet. I think I could probably tackle it now, but anyway, so Bomb Squad became this, it came out from an art show where I totally did not follow the theme very well, but the theme was, I think, supposed to be like parts or pieces, and it was arranged, or at least the person that I was in contact with, Nika Lorber, I think was her name. She was very kind. She let me in there because I knew some people that knew her, and she wanted artists to display their work. Very kind. You know, like, she didn't know me. She didn't know me. She didn't know if I was any good, and the pieces I put in there weren't that great, except for a Bomb Squad, my first Bomb Squad drawing. Oh, I wonder if it's here. And it was a page. It was a page that I just drew really quickly. Oh, here it is. Yeah. It was this page I drew really quickly. Or, not really quickly, just simply. I drew really simply. And I had a blast. You know, this was also around the time when Dave Johnson was doing his Batman covers. And I totally swiped it. It was like it was this awesome cover of 3 panels, and I think it was in 3 different colors, so you can see like where I'm coming from here. And it was like, I think one panel was a C4 clock, and what was the other one? There were 3 panels. It was very cool. But the last panel would be his Batman's face. It was like a shot of Batman's face going, oh, like, you know, as if like he wasn't going to be able to defuse this bomb. So this is like my version of that. So anyway, it starts off like that, you know. I guess this is where I began, right? Like an abstract shape. I mean, it's an eyeball. It's not so abstract, but it's like a close-up. And then it's just like a sequence of zoom outs, really, right? Like the green panels are like zooming out here. Wait, am I pointing at the right? Or am I backwards? So the eyeball, face, and then like almost like a mid shot of her torso, and then like a shot of like both these colors coming together, so you can kind of see like the relation of where she is, right? She's in green, and where this is, right? This is in red. So now she's over here. This is what we're looking at. It's like it's the bomb. And tick, 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 right? And then she gets there and she's too late, or at least you think she's too late, because it's at noon. All bombs blow up at noon. Everybody knows this. So this was the first page, right? This was the first page, and I just did it with no No big epic scope or scale, and you know, this was just a 1 page and I was done. That was it. And I found I really loved it. I really loved drawing comics. And that kind of brought it back. So Bomb Girl did that for me. Kind of freed me from overthinking things. And, you know, my plot was easy, right? Like, it's a bomb squad, they're defusing bombs, they're fighting bad guys. And the way this is shaping up are from the past 3 issues that I've drawn is that the bombs that they're defusing, right, to make it like super interesting, is to make them like robots. Why not? Okay, so something like this. I gotta decide if I really want to riff off of that first issue's panel and give him like these stripes on his ski mask. Tongue, gotta draw a dangly ball. This is what my kids like calling it. Because it does look like a dangly ball. Okay, that'll get me there. So, okay, so this is still pretty rough. But that's just a good way for me to work. Like, slowly, especially in the beginning of this, as I get my thoughts together. And so what's going to end up happening is I'm probably just going to keep doing this. I'll do another layer, and then with a finer pen, right, to start laying out more of these guys. Or finishing up this page. Sorry, my brain farts are still kicking in as I get used to, ooh, 4% battery. So try to get used to talking and drawing at the same time. So even the face shapes are like simple, or I try to keep them simple. Sometimes it's very tempting, so when I draw, you know, growing up I'm influenced by George Perez and all those guys who love to draw high detail, nicely rendered characters. You know, I'm a DC kid, so a lot of the DC art style is really kind of realistic, right? Like, not so much leaning on stylized characters. So, you know, I'm a Superman fan, so I grew up with Jerry Ordway, George Perez, like I said, Jackson Geiss, if that's how you say his name. You know, it's the stuff that I was soaking in there. Now, it doesn't show in my artwork now, but it's kind of actually what I lean towards, if you leave me to my own devices. So this was purposely made or drawn so it was simple, but sometimes I'll kind of regress. It's not like a bad thing, it's just I kind of have to think in a certain style when I draw Bomb Squad, and it's good. It's simplified, so I don't, or shouldn't, spend so much time noodling. Oh, I don't even draw their hats like that. Okay, so here are the cops in my comic. They look like these guys. So it's just like it's not even that star shape that I've been doing. Good thing I'm looking at old issues so I don't forget this so much. Okay, so it's even simpler than I thought here. And I just appreciated that from the manga that I cited, Cyborg 009 and Astro Boy. They were my favorites when I was a kid. So Bomb Squad is me kind of trying to tap into that joy of comics and characters that I loved when I was a kid. And I really did. It's funny, I didn't get into Cyborg 009 until later, way later. Shotaro Ishinomori, something like that. I'll look it up and I'll put a link on the notes. His stuff's great. It's just like super simple, but super awesome. And I guess he learned under Tezuka. He was part of the studio, and then he set up his own stuff. And the guy has. It's funny because I didn't really know this until just recently. Well, not recently, like 10 years ago or something like that. That he made the Mask Rider Black series, Kikaider. I think I want to say Power Rangers, but he made some awesome stuff. But I really loved Cyborg 009, and I think they have tried to revive it a few times. Or what's the word I'm looking for here? Not remaster, but modernize it, I guess. It doesn't quite work the same for me, but how would you solve modernizing Cyborg 009? But I just loved that comic. I got so into it. I forget. There's a shop close to me. And they sold like manga. But I think they were going out of business. They're out of business now at the time. So they would put these books on sale. And I think I was the only one that bought those books. The Cyborg 009. And I would, manga's expensive, right? Like, it's like $10 a pop. And there's like, well, at least Cyborg 009 isn't as much volumes as like, I don't know, Dragon Ball or Naruto, right? I'm getting tight on this guy now. Sorry. I guess, why am I apologizing? But I should be apologizing to myself. Sorry for tightening up so quick. These are supposed to be thumbnails, dude. So sometimes I'll draw these thumbnails and then I'll find, oh, they're a little, or I've gotten a little stiff on them and I need to mix it up somehow. And I do like how modern, oh, that's why it looks so, okay. Modern technology allows me to kind of cut stuff and paste it back on, and it's just forgiving. Just to get stuff going. It's not bad. Maybe I can put this guy here. No, layout-wise, that wouldn't make any sense. Okay. So now, okay, so here's my layout. This line of action is, this figure is totally pushing you up here. And these guys are kind of heading off page, hopefully, to push your eyeball to page 2. Okay. I'll fix up the gutter lines here later on. I guess I gotta figure out what this guy is wearing. Probably just black. That would make sense. Because he's the bad guy. Okay. So now this black silhouette, right, will kind of act like as this framing device that pushes you to the next panel. And dollar symbols. I don't know why I got onto crazy detail on that one, or try to flesh it out too much. Alright, that's the first page. Not bad. Maybe I will start to tighten it up on the next episode, but it's nice that I feel like I actually have the first page of this thing started. Alright. Be it ever so humble. Bomb Squad number 4, page 1 has been laid out. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Thank you for joining me. Next time we'll have something hopefully a little prettier. But that's how comics are made. That's how my comics are made. They start out pretty ugly. And then they tend to be less ugly as I go along. Colorful too. Colorfully ugly. We'll see what I can do about that. Anyway, that's it for this episode. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye.